Hello my friends, I am finally home in my own space again, back in my RV, and I just wanted to make a quick video. Hopefully this will be short like a couple of the last ones. A while back I made a video on how to calculate and track your autophagy levels, and right after I made that video I did a short 4-day fast, really just to be able to use this tool and track my autophagy and see what the natural acceleration of my own autophagy was, mostly just out of curiosity. And so I did that. I tracked it really closely. Now this was a while back, but I very closely journaled everything that was happening, so I'm just gonna go over that fast really quickly. And you know, everybody is different, so this is totally based on my body. Just obviously keep that in mind, that everybody's going to be a little bit different, but hopefully the information will be somewhat helpful for someone. Yeah, like I said in the last video, this tool totally changed my relationship with fasting, with even my day-to-day diet, because I am a carnivore. I'm moving into a hyper-carnivore diet, but I am carnivore. And so, you know what? I forgot to turn this fan off. Hang on. That's gonna be better. Anyway, yeah, because I am carnivore, I am in a constant state of ketosis, and I've always been very curious about of autophagy. And being a carnivore, you're not eating as often because you're not hungry as often, so you do go through longer fasting periods. I always wondered, like, am I experiencing benefits of autophagy within those periods or not? And so this has just kind of been able to answer all the questions I've ever had about autophagy, so that's awesome. So yeah, let's just blow through it. For reference, I made another video on how to actually calculate the numbers, so go watch that if you're curious. I'm just going to be using the scale of autophagy numbers when I talk about my readings here. So for reference, the lower your number of autophagy is, the higher your rate of autophagy is. So technically the scale of autophagy goes between like 0.7, 0.5-ish, and up past 9. Anything closer to 9 essentially means you're not in autophagy at all. Anything closer to that, like 0.5 or lower number, is a very high rate of autophagy. So just for reference, keep that in mind. Lower the number, higher the rate of autophagy. So yeah, let's dig in. So the first time I took my levels, Dizzy, stop. My dog is begging for food. I apologize if you can hear him throwing his food dish around, but he's being a little twerp. Chill, dude. Come here. Come on. Thank you. Good boy. So the first time I took my levels during this fast was at about somewhere between 12 and 14 hours. So it was the morning. I started in the evening. I like starting in the afternoon or evening. And so the first time I took my levels was first thing in the morning. I guess for reference, the first levels I took, my glucose was at 90, and then my ketones were at a 0.7. Just for a starting baseline, that puts me at a 7.14 level of autophagy, which is closer to that 9 number, which means I was in a pretty low rate of autophagy. Anything between 6 and 9 is, you are getting benefits of autophagy, but very, very low, which means I'm probably essentially just experiencing benefits of weight loss. Like, I'm burning a little bit more, but there's nothing awesome or therapeutic going on. So that's where I was at then. I took my levels again at 20 hours. So that was, 7 hours later or so, later in the day. And at that point I had already jumped to a 3.7 of autophagy, which is, well, it's already in a therapeutic zone. So anywhere between 3 to 6 of autophagy is, you are in a therapeutic, you're getting hormonal benefits. Your cells aren't quite breaking down the old proteins yet, but you are experiencing more therapeutic benefits than you were anywhere between 6 and 9. So that happened pretty quickly for me. I don't know if that is normal or not, but worth noting. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is on this fast, so right before I took this second reading, which this may have something to do with it, I don't know. This is gonna be something I have to research a little bit more. But at 17 hours, I did a saltwater flush because my gut was feeling really, really full. I think I had probably overeaten the day before or something, and I just didn't really feel good. I wanted to feel empty. I like feeling empty while I'm fasting. I know if you're doing prolonged long-term fast, that's going to happen naturally because your body's going to empty out and then you'll feel empty. But I knew I was only doing a 4-day fast and I wanted to be empty like immediately, and I really was uncomfortable. So I did implement a saltwater flush. I'll do another video on saltwater flushes later. This is a tool I've been implementing very occasionally the past few months, but I will say, if you have issues with discomfort in your digestive tract, if you have, like myself, if you have scar tissue and so you build up stuff in your gut really easily, it is a really useful, natural, safe way to empty your colon. It's a great colon cleanse tool. You don't want to use it too terribly often, but it is, I mean, do your research with your own health issues in mind, but it is pretty safe. It's relatively safe. So I'll do another video on that another time because I do think they're kind of awesome. Way better than using like laxatives or any other way to colon cleanse. It's pretty great. But so point being, right before I took that second reading, which pushed me up into that 3.7 level of autophagy, I had just done a saltwater flush. So maybe that had something to do with it. I can't say quite yet because I don't know for sure. But that was awesome. So then that second reading was at 20 hours. I was at 3.7. And then the next time I took it was at about 24 hours. And at that point, I kicked up again another little bit of a notch to a 2.7, which at that point, I'm already in a high level of ketosis. So anything between 1.5 to 3 is already a class of 8, a high level of autophagy, which means at that point, you're already experiencing brain regeneration. Your cells are like super cleaning house. So you're in a good point. You're not in the optimal therapeutic zone, but you're in a high level of autophagy. So I was already in a high level of autophagy by 24 hours, that's pretty kick-ass. So then I went to bed. The next morning, I did not take my levels right off the bat. I went to the gym and I did a stair stepper for 20 minutes. And I mean, I felt good. My energy was good. I just forgot to take my readings when I first woke up. So, let's see. The first time I took my readings that day was at 38 hours, which is kind of a jump of time. But, that being said though, I was still only at a 2.17 of autophagy. Reminder is that I was at 2.7 the night before. So I did climb, but not as much. There was no jump there between 24 and 38 hours. I was pretty steady. But then the next time I took my levels is at 42 hours. That's only a 4-hour difference between the 2.17 reading to this reading. 4 hours later, I took my levels and I was at a 0.95 of autophagy, which is, at that point, I'm super optimal therapeutic zone. Therapeutic zone is going to be anything below 1.5. So, the scale that Dr. Ekberg uses, he starts his scale at 0.7. So, at 0.95, I am on the track. I am doing exactly what I want to be doing. So, yeah, man, by 42 hours, I was skyrocketed in autophagy and I was in a very, very optimal therapeutic zone. And at that point, I stayed in a very, very optimal therapeutic zone for the rest of the fast. That was at 42 hours. I will say I spiked autophagy. I got all the way down to a 0.5 level of autophagy, which is very, very high, at about 74 hours. So that was, I mean, worth noting. But then the interesting part to me is that, so I woke up the following day. So it was my last day. I'm at about 3.5 days when I took this next reading, and I was at a 1.28 level of autophagy, which, if you're paying attention, you know that means I went down in autophagy suddenly. I went from a 0.5 the night before to this 1.2 the next morning. But the reason I want to note this is because I took this reading right after I had gone on a 45-minute walk. So always keep in mind when you're taking your readings, whether glucose, ketones, or trying to calculate your autophagy, if you're doing it right before you or right after you exercise, any type of exercise, low impact, high impact, whatever, your readings are going to be very different than they would be if you were at rest. So, yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Your blood is pulling what it needs, or your body is pulling what it needs from your blood at that point, so your readings are going to be off. Just keep that in mind, because then later that day when I took my readings when I was at rest, this is right before I was having my dinner that I was breaking the fast with. So this is at right around 94, 95 hours. And my level of autophagy, which I don't know if this is good or not, but my level of autophagy was at a 0.08, which is like through the friggin' roof autophagy as far as I know from the tool that I've been given. So I can't tell if that's a good thing or a terrible thing, if that's unhealthy. My ketones were at 6.8, so I was still safe in that. And my glucose was super low at 69, which is 3.83 millimoles. Very low. So my glucose was super low, ketones super high, level of autophagy 0.08. That's super high. I felt great, so I didn't think anything was wrong. Not worth, asking a doctor anything about, but I'm just gonna have to do a little bit more research on what the safe levels of autophagy are, but I felt great, so I don't think anything was wrong. Yeah, I think really that's really all I wanted to share in this video. I just wanted to go over this record because I said I would, and I found it interesting. So I guess in rewind, I super spiked autophagy around 42 hours when I got to that 0.95, and then I was maxed. Like, my highest autophagy was right before I broke fast, which I assume it would have just kept climbing or evened out at some point. But I'll have to track that on a longer than 4-day fast and see what happens. Yeah, I think that's all. I'll do a follow-up video later on the saltwater flushes, and if there's anything else I missed that you have questions about, let me know, and I will talk about it later. Otherwise, good to see you again, and hope you all are well. Love to everyone. Bye-bye.